What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Saturday Night Live after show. We're going to be breaking down the Kristen Stewart episode with musical guest Coldplay. She didn't drop an F-bomb this time like she did her first time, but she's still lovably awkward, and who knows, maybe we'll drop an F-bomb instead. Stay tuned.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz...
It took everything within me not to just scream the F word.
I felt it in the air tonight. We're fired up. We're ready to go. As Elizabeth Warren would say, we're fired up.
We're fired up. We're going to fight.
Fight it out. Fight. Resist. We got this, guys. As you guys can tell, we are amped up and ready to go. I hope you are to join us on this journey of whatever this episode's going to turn into as we break down the Kristen Stewart episode. My name's Amy Maestri. I love the sketch comedy. I don't like someone on the show, and I like others on the show. And I love this lady right next to me, Steph Sabraw, comedy connoisseur, badass
comedy
lady.
Connoisseur. It's so funny because if you guys watch this show with us weekly, you'll know exactly who Amy's talking about. But I guess you'll find out later because there's no way there's an episode where you don't shade him.
This is true.
And I just gave you a clue. It's a him.
It's a him. It's a him. And Steph Sabraw, love being with you on the show.
I'm so excited.
So excited every week when I get to sit at this desk and talk about SNL for the night.
No, it doesn't get any better. And I have like a super charged up espresso drink right now, so I might just drop F-bombs periodically throughout this episode.
Sweet.
Viewer discretion is advised.
So you've been warned. We're ready to dive in now. Tonight we'll be breaking down each of the sketches. We'll go through the night. We'll talk a little bit about Coldplay as well, the musical guest. Just kind of give our opinions on the sketches. We have a really cool special segment where I break down the anatomy of a sketch and just kind of talk about the structure and what I thought worked or didn't work in it. And then Steph is going to hit us with some news and gossip that I know this week you might want to turn the volume down a little bit during this segment.
Whoa.
We are fired up on it.
Yeah, just a little tease. I don't want to speak too soon, but I feel like I'm against all the media on our boy Che, and we'll get more into it during news and gossip.
Mm-hmm.
Let's fight.
Let's go. I'm going to do old-timey boxer. For those of you only listening and not watching right now, you're missing out on some old-timey boxer moves. Let's talk about this cold open. Stop boxing for now. Our girl, Kate, is Elizabeth Warren. She's fired up. She's got her Nature Valley bar, and she is ready to go. What did you think about this monologue?
I loved this cold open. I thought it was so good. It was refreshing to just have like a fluid sketch and not have, sometimes I like when there's a lot of moving parts, but it gets kind of too much. Like they're just trying to throw in everyone and add in every little bit that they can. And I feel like they really focused in on her and told like a part of her story that we haven't seen on SNL. And I just thought it was so funny. I think that Kate McKinnon as Elizabeth Warren, it just doesn't get any better because you already have, Elizabeth Warren is so lovable. And I know a lot of people don't like her. I like Elizabeth Warren, and I think that she just she does it perfectly.
Yeah, there's something about the energy of Elizabeth Warren that is just so, like, you just want to be around her and listen to her because of that excitement. And Kate does such a good job of taking that to the next level in sketch and still doing a killer impression with the voice and the movements. Now she's always, like, looking at people and that energy that is just, like, bouncing off of her all the time. And yeah, I agree that it was nice to not have Trump just talking to 5 million of his closest advisors for a cold open and to really stick on this one topic and kind of continuously playing with the idea of like, oh yeah, we like that, we like that, we like that. Still not sure if I'm going to vote for you, even right down to the end of the Kamala or of Chloe, just saying, well, like, oh, I don't know, Pete Buttigieg seems nice.
It's so funny because all of the left side, I think, is really conflicted because there's a lot of likable candidates, but no one really knows who to vote for. Like, some people are ride or die, Elizabeth Warren, some people are Kamala, whatever, Buttigieg. Booty, rocking everywhere. But I think a lot of us are like, we just want to win, and hopefully it's the best candidate, but I'm trying to strategize, so I just need to hear all your points, and then we can make a decision of how we're going to take down Trump in 2020.
Yes, they did such a good job of showing that through, like, when she was like, do you want to see the math? And then she shows the crazy ass board of math and saying, I could explain it to you, but you die.
That's exactly what I tell when people are like, she has a plan for everything, except when it comes to the numbers. I'm like, your small-minded brain, and in numbers, including myself, I'm not going to play you. I don't understand. So just give me, like, the bullet points, and hopefully I can trust in you.
Yep.
Maybe by 2024, I can learn some of the numbers behind it all.
I gotta say, I like that a lot of the top candidates have not been going after other candidates. Obviously, as the front runners, they don't really feel the need to, and I like that within the same party, they're not attacking each other too much at the top between like Biden, Sanders, and Warren. But I loved that now Warren, she gets to get saucy in this impression, and Kate, when they went after Biden, I just have to quote the one line: "My plan compares favorably because it exists." I was like, oh. Shade, and I love it.
What did you say about Beto? What did Beto call her? Punitive?
Yeah.
She's so good. Just good. I just like this cold open. It was a good start to the episode.
Yeah, great energy. And then going into the monologue, so let's talk a little bit about our host, Kristen Stewart. Are you a fan? Have you seen a lot of her movies?
Yeah, I have. I am a fan of Kristen Stewart as a person. I like Twilight. I don't care what anyone says. I think that I didn't read the book, so I know people are like, that's not how Bella was supposed to act. I don't care. She did enough for me. I liked her there. I think I like a few of her other movies, but I do love that she played to what everyone thinks about her is that she's like angsty and always nervous, and everyone's like, I don't know if this is a bit, if this is part of the character, or if this is you just going on screen and not really knowing how to differentiate the two. But as a person, I really like her. I feel like she's been outspoken in the right way and very open about her sexuality and just really not giving any F's to the haters.
Yeah.
So I love that.
100. I like her a lot too. And I love that the first time around, it was kind of the same bit, but a different way, like in the monologue, because it is kind of playing up to that, like kind of that angsty side of her, or what people think about her in a lot of ways too. And I think this time they did a great job of kind of poking fun at the fact that, yeah, she doesn't like being on stage by herself. She's not a stand-up comedian. She's not someone who likes to go on stage and do a solo performance. She's an actor. She likes being part of a scene. She's not like keen on just standing up there and being like, let me talk about myself. So I think this was a fun way to do it, but then to flip it around and say, we're going to do one of those Q&A monologues, and then her just start to ask really personal questions of the audience members, I thought was a nice little twist. What were your thoughts on the monologue itself this time around?
I thought it was pretty good. I like that they kept it short because they knew that wasn't her strength. There was no need to make that longer than it was. I love the play between her and Pete because I think that's a really funny pair just because of Pete's problematic past and Kristen's outspoken present. They match up in a really opposite but good way.
And just the idea that she's like, no, I don't need to ask you anything. Yeah, we already know everything.
Like, you literally air out all your business publicly. So
and I gotta say, your boyfriend Kyle, when he comes out with Beck, the way that they always bring such weirdness to everything they do, and just like the fact that after Kristen said they looked good, that they just kind of held each other and looked into each other's eyes as they jumped up and down around the stage. I was like, I just love them.
I love them. I love them.
Oh, yeah, let's jump into the first sketch. So the women of World War II, and they're trying to find a poster girl. We got Rosie the Riveter. We got Donna the Shell Shiner. Clearly not obvious choices when you have the slugging women played by Kristen, Kate, and Aidy. We talked last week about how much we love seeing Kate and Aidy together. We got to see a lot of them in this episode. I think obviously Lauren was listening to our show.
Yeah, thank you for listening. It's so good to hear that even in New York we're being viewed.
Exactly. Yep. I like that. And I like that he's taking our idea seriously. Fire Keenan. Anyways, to talk about this sketch a little bit more. What What were your overall thoughts on this one?
I love this sketch. The past few weeks, I've kind of had a problem with the first sketch picked because I don't think that they've gone with the strongest. I think in this case, this was top 2 sketches for me, and I think it was so funny. I thought that they all did their characters justice and like stayed with their accents the entire time through. It was a funny premise, really good tempo, and I thought it had a lot of funny punchlines. And I just love those 3 together. Yeah. It made me think of Charlie's Angels, and I'm like, this is something I could watch.
You're like, they screwed up this new casting. Kristen Stewart's fine in the new Charlie's Angels, but where are Kate and Edie? No, I agree. It kind of reminded me, there are a couple different Gilda vibes that I got, actually. Some Gilda Radner vibes in this sketch and later on that I'll talk about it too. But there was that sketch when they like reversed the roles of construction workers back in the 70s in the sketch. And Gilda was just like the grossest man ever. And again, those like thick New York greasy accents. And it kind of reminded me of that. And like you said, the way that they stayed in those characters, the callbacks to like making fun of Mikey for being a coward to not go fight the Nazis. A lot of fun callbacks throughout the whole thing.
And the hypersexualization, but also masculinization of them as women, like construction workers, so to speak, or I don't know what exactly they were doing, working with drills, something I don't do. But I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was hypocritical and funny and just done well.
And those characters, it shows when there's a really great character. I would love to see them in other scenarios now, too. Just because, again, it's very specific, obviously, to that sketch for that era and the purpose of the actual premise of the sketch. But just because their characters were so fun to watch and they were so committed to them, I would continue to watch them. And that's like, I'm talking about a character sketch. That's it.
I see you guys in the chat. Love you all. And you guys are questioning whether we like Kenan or not. I like Kenan. I do think that he should be doing movies and like maybe start transitioning out of SNL. My partner here, though, feels very opposite of me, and as you tune in with us weekly, you'll get to know. But I do want to say thank you guys for tuning in with us right now. We love you guys. You make us the ESPN of TV talk. We get to come here every week and talk about the greatest show ever, SNL. One thing you guys can do to help us is if you're watching, hit that like button, leave us a comment after this video's over. And if you're listening, give us those 5 stars, leave us a review. We love to keep the conversation going past this after show. So thank you guys.
Yes, thank you. We do love doing this. And listen, even if you like Kenan, I'll still talk to you. Like, I talk to Steph all the time. See? I'm not that bad.
We're friends.
Don't worry, this isn't just an act, and we don't hate each other as soon as we finish this show because of Kenan. Anyways. No, keep the conversation going. We love hearing from you guys throughout the episode, and like Steph said, afterwards as well. Let's talk about talking to kids. Let's add about how to talk to kids. Do you like kids? That's a no.
Sometimes it depends if they're well behaved. No. I talk to them like full grown adults, and if you can't understand me, we don't need to be having this conversation, you little child. That's how.
Next. Give a tear and kill him.
I have all these little cousins. My mom's one of 4, and my dad has 2 siblings, and they're all younger, so they all had kids at different ages. And I have little baby cousins from 1 to 10 years old, and I don't understand any of them, no matter what age they are, until they're about 12, where I can start being like, "Yeah, you're a queen, queen," and like raising them up as little women. Until then, I don't know what we're doing here. I have stuff to do. You're a waste of my time right now, so I would need this Duolingo app. This is such a good premise, and I feel like in the writer's room they're like, I bet you Kristen's bad with kids, like how can we build off that?
Yes. Also, I just got a very clear visual of you just like chasing 12-year-old girls around going, queen, you're
a queen, and say it back to me right now, you're a queen,
build other women up. I love it. I'm into it. No, I agree. I think the kind of like what? Oh gosh, what?
I just got shaded in the chat. Fatly! Roller Coaster Rider said, well, Steph is only like 23, so she's practically a kid. Okay. I'm not 23, but
compliment.
Maybe the maturity of a 13-year-old. Who knows? It depends on the hour.
During the SNL hour, I think we both become 13-year-olds.
Oh, yeah, less.
Easily, yeah. 10?
What do you think? Yeah.
No, I think you're right with Kristen Stewart being great in this because of her delivery and kind of that, like, not even awkwardness, but just not really sure how to approach it. So I think she did a good job of not overacting it either. Mm-hmm. She wasn't like a dick, or she wasn't like so uncomfortable that she didn't know what to do. It was just that, like, yeah, do you wear clothes?
Yeah, that first part was so good.
that first line right off the jump of setting everything up for the sketch, that, yeah, she's bad at this.
Yeah.
But not so bad that it's like, you know, I feel like they did a good job of finding that balance, so it was just like perfectly awkward enough.
I know, I'm like over here being like, so what do you think about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict? And my little cousins are like, stop talking to us, Steph. Whatever.
Meanwhile, the line when they gave all the examples of different times that you need to understand what's going on with kids, and when a child falls in front of you on a sidewalk, that actually happened this weekend at brunch, and all of my girlfriends went, "Oh," and I started laughing. So I could use this app.
Oh wow, we have so much in common.
We'll figure it out. We'll get the kids Duolingo app.
Yeah,
and we'll get there. We'll get there. But this was actually, I think this was one of my favorites of the night. I just thought it was really well done and funny and very on point to like those types of commercials too.
We talked about this. I thought this episode had a really, really strong first half, and then I don't know what happened.
Yeah, no, true. It really did. Like, you hit a wall in it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I guess this is a different episode now?
Yeah, I was watching the latter half, and I think I maybe broke a smile once.
I was mostly just looking confused the whole second half, I think. Yeah, interesting.
Cool.
Interesting. Well, speaking of one of the last, I think, really strong sketches of the night, or one of the last few, the next one we are going to save for the anatomy of a sketch, the Couleur. We'll be breaking down that Couleur.
What's it called? Balls and chain Couleur?
Yes, balls and chain Couleur.
Very expensive.
It's 10,000 a can of like, jewels.
Yeah, exactly.
We're doing great, guys. Let's talk about, so we're going to skip over that and talk about this, the dog hero sketch, essentially. Started off with Kellyanne Conway, which I love when Kate does her. She's creepy as hell anyways in real life, so Kate just upping that creepy level when she gets to do her is always lovely. What did you think about the dog hero Conan?
You know what? I read some articles that said this, like, revived the night. I did not like this at all. I think I laughed the hardest when they had the little paw hands and he was drinking the water. But I just didn't... Or when Cecily was laughing a little bit, I thought that was funny, but I didn't think any of the actual premise of it was funny at all. Like...
You know, it's funny. I read the same things, like, before I watched the episode, that it was, like, the best of the season and all this. And I'm like, oh, wow. All right, I'm excited.
And I didn't see that. Best of the season, what?
Like, I liked it more than you did, but it was not even my favorite of the night. Like, I enjoyed it. I'm always a little torn whenever there's sketches with dogs, because I don't know if they're actually enjoying it or not. Like, there's a lot of people, a lot of sounds, a lot of lights. I do like whenever Cecily is doing it, though, because I know she loves dogs.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like she's probably going to do her best to try to help keep them calm, and you can kind of see it in sketches, too. It kind of reminded me of one that they did a while back when they created a machine that could hear what your dog was thinking, and the dog ended up being a Trump supporter, and they were just like, no, that can't be right.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So kind of reminded me of that. I liked that one better, but I could see what they were doing here with the idea of, like, what dogs would think of certain things, and I liked those, like, simple lines of just, like, the silliness of it, of saying, like, oh yeah, terrorists have guns and bombs, but at least it's not a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Like, those things are just kind of, like, silly, fun jokes that I was like, that's funny. It definitely was not, like, the sketch of the year so far to me, but I did appreciate the silliness of it, and Conan was adorable. Mm-hmm. I love that big goofy face on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall was definitely not what I was waiting for it to be, I think. So we had another digital short. Your boyfriend, Kyle Mooney, breaking it down in corporate nightmare. What did you think of this?
Yeah, I mean, screw the corporate the corporate businesses out there. No, I thought it was a funny play. It wasn't my favorite. I think that what a crew of angsty people, though. Like, that, the looks were spot on for them, and it made complete sense. It just wasn't my favorite.
Major flashbacks to, like, early 2000s.
Yeah, like Simple Plan, like Dashboard Confessional, all of those. I thought it was gonna, I thought it was gonna be better than it was, because I do like the whole play on, like, taking down the corporations, but it just didn't land the way that I would want it to. I think the lines could have been written a little bit better. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, like, the lines weren't quite as punchy as I would have liked them to be. I did think it was funny the way that she was finishing the sentences, and then it kind of, like, spread to all of them. But yeah, like, there could have been better specifics within how they were responding to the boss once they kind of, like, crossed that threshold. But yeah, just for, like, the design of it and the aesthetics alone, which so often in their digital shorts too kind of saves them, where you're like, oh, it wasn't the funniest thing, but it was so well done. And they were also committed that it was passable. It was even if you didn't laugh that much.
Yeah.
So then we have Coldplay. Are you a Coldplay fan?
I really respect Coldplay. I've never in my life searched Coldplay to play Coldplay in my car or anything.
Just get you going.
But I think that they're phenomenal, and I thought that they were really amazing. I don't really see the point of them starting in the hallway. It didn't add to the performance at all. But I do really respect them as artists, and I mean, they're massive. They're one of the most popular bands of all time. So kudos.
Yeah, same. Like, I end up liking a lot of their songs. They're that band to me that, like, I'll hear their song and I'm like, oh, I like that. Who is that? And I'm like, oh, wait, it sounds like Coldplay. Oh, yeah, it's Coldplay. But yeah, I don't know that I could name, like, a lot of them. It's just, like, every once in a while I hear one that I'm like, oh, that's really catchy.
Yeah. Yes.
And I enjoy it. But yeah, I do enjoy the energy that he always brings as a frontman. I feel like he is just always kind of like, I'm here, I'm in it, and I like that he does bring, like, a good energy whenever I've seen them perform on anything.
He named one of his kids Apple, I believe.
Yeah.
Jeff in the booth, can you confirm or deny that allegation?
Say that again, Steph.
Is the lead singer of Coldplay, does he have a daughter named Apple?
That's right. Yeah, don't him and Gwyneth have a kid?
Gwyneth, they're no longer together, but I've heard that they are doing a great job co-parenting Apple.
Yeah, they consciously uncoupled.
Oh yes, that's what it is.
Apple Martin, but they
Martin, very close to Apple Martini.
It's the most generic last name and the most interesting first name.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, Apple what? Oh, Martin.
So Apple Martin must have been proud of you, sir.
I think, I think little Apple would be very proud. little Apple. Oh boy. Let's talk about Weekend Update. Let's talk about our boys. Let's do some jokes first. What were some top jokes for you? It's gonna be tricky.
Well, it will be tricky because a lot of them, my top jokes, are gonna end up in the news and gossip. Actually, let's just say a lot of friction. You're picking up what I'm putting down. I also loved the hold on, let me pull up my notes. What were some of yours?
I gotta say, I loved the you Arizona punchline.
Oh yes. yes.
They changed it to you Arizona, which now sounds like the end of a punchline for someone who lives in Arizona.
100% it does.
Loved that Trump gets booed everywhere. You know it's bad because even Cosby can still play Philly. I feel like they went deep on
that one. Was so good and no one laughed. I'm like, are you kidding me, you guys?
You know, and that was a theme too, because one of the other ones that I loved was that a 2,000-pound great white shark was found off the coast, and then there was also another 2,000-pound great white shark spotted in New York, and they showed the picture of Harvey Weinstein because he showed up at that comedy show. And I was like, and everyone booed that, and I was like, no, they're making fun of Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, what?
Stop booing making fun of Harvey Weinstein.
I know, it's so funny. I am a social justice warrior, and we get so caught up in fighting the fight that we don't realize when someone is making a point to your fight, like in a good way.
They called a predator a shark, and also a 2,000-pound one. They're calling him a fat predator. It's okay to laugh at that. He is a fat predator.
Oh my gosh. So what else did I like? The U Arizona was my favorite one, other than the ones that I'll get to in news and gossip.
I will say too, speaking of Apple, look at the segue, the Apple joke for Rudy Giuliani, that Face ID can't even recognize the man that he's become. Coming with fire on a lot of these this week.
Really good. I thought it was a great Weekend Update. We'll get into the guests. I wasn't particularly that pleased.
You know what? Do it. Let's dive in. Do it.
I was so excited to see Melissa have like her own bit again because I've been waiting, and she is like a master impressionist. So Weekend Update is the place for her to try out new characters and new accents or whatever it may be. And I thought it was a really funny premise. I'm like, oh, a genius kid. Like, what is she gonna do? Like, totally read them for filth. I'm here for it. But then it ended up being a bit about the mom being highly pressuring her and saying that she's not. The funniest part was saying that she's going to pull her from Ellen because if she can't handle Che, then she can't handle Ellen. But I didn't think any of the lines with the dialogue had punchlines. I thought it was just dialogue.
Yeah, it was. I think they were relying so heavily on like the kind of stage mom aspect of Heidi, which was still funny. I think they both played off of each other well. But yeah, there wasn't, I feel like, enough in it to like really land a lot of those jokes. I still think the idea is funny of this like poor girl who just can't, like, is freaking out so much that she can't like remember these things. But then I was also unclear. I was like, so wait, is she not a genius? Is she actually just a kid?
Yeah.
Or is she just like so nervous because her mom's a lunatic?
And we didn't find out really either.
Yeah. So I was like, and I mean, we don't really have to know that, but it still kind of bothered me because that distracted me a little bit. I will say though, this was the other moment that felt very Gilda to me because Melissa's so good at doing that little kid voice and just transforming herself into a kid.
Gilda was the OG.
And that was, oh God, I loved when Gilda would do it, both extremes. If she played a 5-year-old or a 95-year-old, I would love the really young and the really old that she would play. And Melissa kind of reminded me of her with this one too.
So good.
And then we have Kate and 80. This is a recurring character. I know how much we talk about how much we love Kate and 80. These are not my favorite characters from them. For me, it's still enjoyable just because I like them so much together and their chemistry. But it's not my favorite character. It's not my favorite execution of it. It'll make me chuckle, but you know, that's about it. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I agree completely. And it was funny because when they break, it's usually a really funny moment, but they were all breaking and I didn't think anything was that funny.
I think it's because the meat smelled so bad.
It was like real legit meat. I hope they cooked it. My biggest thing is I'm a pescatarian, so when they were talking about if you're just like canceling some of it, then fish would be your thing, they were speaking to me, but I'm like, wow, if that's all real, you guys better be eating that after. Take that to the after party. Don't waste that. It would be so gross and just mean.
I know. Let's have a pile of raw meat backstage that will not get cooked or eaten. Hard pass. Hard pass. Okay, so then it kind of, it took a turn. And we have this jury sketch where their stomachs are growling and it takes 20 minutes to get to the premise, which is that they sound like a Genuine song.
Yeah. It didn't really sound like the Genuine song, first of all. Second of all, was it guilty, not guilty? What happened? I don't know. Like, they were talking about race at one point. They were talking about stomach growling, just trying to get some food. Bowen Yang, once again, was the highlight of the sketch. Only had one line, still the highlight, because the rest just didn't. It seemed like it was put together last minute.
Yeah.
And all they knew was that the punchline was going to be the Genuine song, but everything around it was just... noise.
Totally agreed. Bowen continues to that's when you know that someone is special on that show. When even in a sketch that nothing else makes sense or really is that good, they can come out and just within that small character, that one line, make you actually laugh out loud. And Bowen did that for me again in this one.
He did it one more time for the last sketch.
Yeah. But I feel like it was one of those sketches, too, that it gets confusing because one of the biggest things, we'll get into it in the anatomy of a sketch, too, if you're doing a premise sketch or even in a character sketch, within that first minute of the sketch, you want to know what it's about. You want to know the direction it's going. Or if it's something that's going to come back and give a weird reveal or twist at the end, then that's fine if there's a big payoff at the end and you're spending the whole sketch going, what? But you're laughing because it's crazy and there's mayhem. This was something where I was like looking at my watch at the end and I was like, we're 3/4 of the way through this sketch before we got to what was actually funny about it. And it was just that their stomachs were growling. So like you said, it started as one sketch and finished as a different one, and neither one of them ever got to like fruition of being funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I see you all in the chat liked it, so I guess that's good.
I will give it, again, anything like that, the expressions, like, this all comes down to the actors in it, to the way that they're reacting to the sounds, to the song, to everything. So, I mean, I will give credit to the actors in it. That was the part that I liked, the way they responded and reacted to everything. Mm-hmm. That's it. Next. So, you just alluded to this one with Bowen at the end of Ego and Keenan's date night that is interrupted by Kristen Stewart. What were your overall thoughts?
I like this sketch. I thought it ended on a high note. It peaked at its end, which is all I could ask for because it made the entirety of it worthwhile. I thought it was a funny premise that Kristen was trying to get in on these two people, but they didn't seem to be picking up what she was putting down, but I guess they're like 10 steps ahead of her. And Bowen Yang came in and stole the show. It was like, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable, but I'm laughing.
Well, that's what I liked about it, was that they were so unaffected by her that at first I was like, yeah, do they just not get it? And then at the end, it's like, oh no, they get it. But like you said, they're 10 steps ahead. They're just like, oh, that's adorable. But no,
like, we got you don't have any chains or whips around you. That is just preschool, baby. We need all of that.
It definitely had that whole vibe to it. Kristen played it really well too, as just kind of like being awkward and wanting them to like hang out, but also not going over the top, because obviously the whole point at the end is that Bowen is the one that's over the top and they're actually over the top with him. But the fact that like they really played it up with like Ego calling it MacDonald's and that they brought it in there, that they kept talking about their crab cakes, and Ego's expressions looking at Kristen were just killing me the whole time. And then to see the payoff in the end of it, that's why, was great. But I gotta say, the standout line was, I stopped listening to music when Queen Latifah started doing talk shows.
Oh my God.
Felt like a betrayal.
So good. So good.
I mean, I get it. It. It did feel like
also,
a betrayal.
just the premise of explaining what pansexual means is pretty funny, because I think that the older generation has no idea.
Yeah, just hearing anything like that, or if they're like non-binary or like anything that's outside of LGBT, they might understand Q sometimes. Once it gets to plus, they're like, ow.
What the?
Before we went on air, we were talking a little bit, Jeff in the booth, we were mentioning the sketch, the Totino's Pizza Rolls, last time when Kristen was on, and there was that vibe of her coming over and hitting on Vanessa when she was getting the Totino's ready for everyone, because my hungry guys. And at the beginning of this sketch, it just made me really want to watch that sketch again, but I did end up liking where this one ended up going.
Yeah, I agree. I thought this was a good one.
And then we have the stargazing hike. The second they came on, I was like, is this like the Lovas reincarnated?
It was so weird and it was funny to me. I thought that I love the play on going, like, when they made the joke about how he doesn't go down on her, or he only expects to be people to go down on him and he won't reciprocate. It reminds me of a lot of our old pal, ex-guest host, DJ Khaled.
Yeah.
I wish you got zero head for the rest of your life, DJ Khaled. But I love the point they were making about it and how like hypersexualized and gross they were, and everyone's like, no, we're with this guy. Like, we're not with you.
At first I was so taken back, so I was just like, wait, is this the Lovas? Because it reminded me so much of them just being in the hot tub and being weird and sexual around other people. But I liked the turns that it took. I will say it was way too long for me. I wanted it to be a little shorter because it was just so weird and creepy that I think it hits harder sometimes when it's a little bit shorter. But the reactions, Mikey as a straight man's awesome.
Yes,
I feel like he doesn't get enough credit sometimes, and I love him as a straight man, but also he can play crazy too. I mean, he came from Groundlings. He does big characters. That's his thing. But he plays a straight man equally as well.
Agreed. Great point.
Have you ever seen a show at the Planetarium at Griffith?
No.
Oh, you should. There's my favorite lady, narrates it there. And I'm like her fan. I don't know her name, but she has the best voice ever. And she just talks about the stars, and she'll say, and then they looked up into the sky and they saw a bear. And then
Wait, is that real?
This is real.
And it's not a joke. It's not a bit.
No, that's just her voice. And she narrates this like 40-minute show in this like really calming voice that's just amazing. And you feel like you're getting read a bedtime story. It's very different from this bedtime story that these two presented. But
I don't know which one I'd prefer.
Yeah, maybe they can join forces. Who knows? Do a crossover. All right, so I think we jump into a special segment. What do you say?
My favorite part, everyone, buckle up for Anatomy of the Sketch, where our house comedian is going to break down a sketch and show and teach us some things. Without further ado.
Why, thank you. Steph.
Back and listen.
just chill. You just kick your feet back. So I want to talk about this Pharaoh and Ball sketch, Color. It's all about color. Reminded me a lot right off the bat of a old Will Ferrell sketch, the Do You Enjoy Luxury? Because it was all about the way that he said it and it was getting repeated. But then what I liked about this is that it got into such crazy escalation and went in a million different directions that it really was one of those great sketches that kept raising the stakes while also going off the rails at the same time, which makes it even more entertaining. The callbacks all the time throughout the whole thing of color and labor and every word that they could think of that would still be able to use that same sound at the end was great. And I like that they didn't stay on that same path. When I talk about going off the rails, instead of it just being about her weird obsession with this paint, we started to get to know these really weird background facts about her. In a sketch, you should only have 3 minutes, but SNL give 6 minutes to establish who, what, where, when, why. And you want to know more about the characters. So for me, a lot of times, the most rewarding sketches are the ones that you really get to know where this character's coming from, because then what's happening in the sketch becomes that much funnier. So when she says really simple lines like, oh yeah, I met him on Facebook Marketplace and he's now her boyfriend, you're like, oh, I know who that person is. I know who this woman is. You get a lot of really rich context right away. And then the way that they kept going, and it was more and more, and she's a daytime bartender and she's out of work, and the paints cost $110 per gallon, and it just kept going and going. And I think Adie and Beck did a really good job of matching each other's energy as they just got more and more and more worked up defending herself and him just getting mad about everything, and then really going all the way to the end of it and realizing just you know who this woman is. You're laughing at the way that she's saying something throughout it that's doing an actual callback throughout the sketch, which is always a great device to use in sketches. And the performances were all great. Kristen also served her purpose nicely of just being that kind of subdued person and then finding out that she's cheated. There were so many things happening, but it didn't feel like there was too much happening in it. So I loved the flow of it. I loved Adie and Beck matching each other, and we got to see Kyle's beautiful hairy chest. So
for that quick minute, yes.
Minute of bliss for Steph.
Yeah. Yeah, to say the least.
But yeah, this was one of my favorites of the night.
I love when you do this. I just love it so much. I completely agree. I thought this was when Adie gets this energetic and intense, it is her at her strongest. Yes. And just being so dramatic, I just love it. I eat it up, and I thought Kristen did a great job in this sketch.
Yeah, you're right. When Adie gets over the top, it's just so fun, and she just owns it.
Yeah, yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Much love to Adie Bryant.
Much love always to Adie Bryant.
Always.
Yeah, this is a great sketch to pick. This was top 2 for me.
Nice. Yeah, and equally to Beck and everyone else that was in it. It was just a really well done sketch. Mm-hmm. Color.
I wanted to know though, who is the father and how does the sister know? But other than that, I was very satisfied.
I feel like she doesn't have a lot going on, so she probably is pretty in their business.
Yeah.
maybe right. Following her.
Right.
Who knows? But maybe for next time. Maybe in the next sketch, in the follow-up. All right. Are we ready for some news and gossip?
Whoa.
Loaded question.
Yeah, loaded question because, wow, controversy has spiked yet again for our dear friend Michael Che. And I didn't know, I guess last week, people were upset about his joke about Caitlyn Jenner, calling him transphobic once again. And I wanted to read part of this article from theadvocate.com, and it was titled, Michael Che doubles down on anti-LGBTQ jokes in prison shower sex bit. And I just want to read this to you guys because I'm trying to understand what I'm missing as a social justice warrior. And then, Amy, I'd love if you weighed in as well. Okay, so it starts. Rather than apologize for a transphobic joke he made about Caitlyn Jenner last week, Saturday Night Live Weekend Update co-host Michael Che thought it would be funny to double down on offensive stereotypes about LGBTQ people this week. During a rambling joke about Kanye West turning into an old white lady on Weekend Update in late October, Che called her fella, and then on this one, Che began by saying the wildfires are threatening millions of avocados, that white women are devastated. The state is allowing nonviolent prisoners to help fight the wildfires, which is ridiculous because you definitely want to use the violent prisoners for that, right? If my house is on fire, don't send me the fellas in for tax fraud. Send me somebody that's going to make the fire their bitch. You know, somebody that's really good with water because they spend all their time hanging out in the showers. Okay, so we'll get into the ageist joke. Let's just cover this anti-LGBTQ joke. What did I miss?
That's what I don't understand, because I don't find anything about that offensive.
There are straight men in jail screwing men in jail.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily gay, and I think that's anti-gay to assume that they're gay for having sex with men in jail.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see, if any, the issue that I think people are taking with it is just
breaking news report!
Hard-hitting news here. I don't think anything's wrong with that joke. As someone who's an ally to that community, I don't find anything about that being offensive towards that community. It's a joke about prisoners in the shower.
Yeah, and
that's not.
Here's the thing. I'm such an ally of the LGBTQ plus community, and of course I'm not personally in this community, so I can't say what is offensive or what's not. But I am really trying to understand what would be so triggering about that when there are actually anti-LGBTQ jokes being out there that are very explicitly talking about. I think there's a difference between the sexual act of typically LGBTQ community and the actual existence of LGBTQ community members. And this was about a sexual act, not about members in the community.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's where I find fault with it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And moving on to another report against Michael Che. He has been now called ageist. Dun, dun, dun. On Weekend Update, he had a recent headline involving a woman in China who gave birth at 67 years old. His joke was, the birth set a record for most friction. Which, this got a lot of groans in the audience. And then he went on to give what he was going to say, but NBC wouldn't let him say. I thought the friction one was actually the funniest of all three of them. And I am yet again trying to understand what was so ageist about that, because realistically, doctors are telling women not to have kids past 40. I understand giving birth is different, especially if you're like, I know that there's mothers who have carried for their daughters because the daughter just couldn't carry the child and it's not their egg. So I don't know exactly what happened with the 67-year-old woman, but I'm like, come on.
This is one of those moments where I feel like so often people take this time to say, I didn't think that joke was funny, so I'm going to say there was something wrong with it that offended me. If you don't think a joke's funny, that's fine. Even if you find it offensive, that's fine. You can't have that person stop telling jokes because you think they're being ageist when there's a joke about a 67-year-old woman having a baby. That's a headline that screams joke.
Yeah, I agreed. I don't know. I really don't like when, and we talk about this all the time, I don't like when are like, you can't be funny in this PC culture, and I'm totally with that. Like, you can absolutely be funny in a PC culture without dragging other people and different representation. But I do think for these two specifically, I'm missing the really, really offensive part, I guess.
Yeah, same. And I think we were talking a little bit before we went on air as well about the Caitlyn Jenner joke. Pot calling the kettle black here. Caitlyn Jenner is against the trans community, is against the beliefs of her own community.
Yeah, she's not an ally, newsflash. So, and also there's a complete difference. Yet again, this is where we go wrong, and I'm always with my warriors, but this is where we go wrong, where we mistake the person for the principle that the person represents. The person, Caitlyn Jenner, is separate from being a trans woman completely. Caitlyn Jenner is still a very, very outspoken, like, quintessential white Republican. And that does not mean that she's not trans, and that doesn't take away from her trans orientation and her being, like, a woman in this community, with her still being a piece of shit sometimes. Preach! Like, it's not, you can be trans and still be an awful human. Yeah. You're not awful because you're trans. It's probably the best quality about Caitlyn Jenner. It's her views.
I think it's, at the end of the day, people go after Michael Che because he does push boundaries where other people haven't always pushed them.
Agreed.
Update doesn't. Yeah, they go hard on political stuff a lot of times, and there's other, but I think he takes more chances than a lot of anchors have in the past, and so I think he takes a lot of flack for it at the same time.
Yeah, agreed. He's not PG Jost.
Yeah.
I love Jost, and that's why I think they're such a good duo, but there is definitely a place and a need for Michael Che's voice on SNL, and I don't understand how, I guess, I don't know, maybe it's just a live audience, because all of my friends love him.
Yeah, same.
So that wraps up this update.
Steph, preach.
Thank you.
I loved that.
Thank
so
you.
fiery, and I love it. Did you have an MVP for this episode?
Whoa.
Yeah.
A.D. Bryant in the future of Charlie's Angels, because I heard it's awesome. And I've heard that Kristen Stewart is phenomenal in it.
Nice.
And I hope that rumor is true.
Yeah, like you said, I like her as a human so much, so I'm ready to see that. I got to go with 82, I think. She just, between the Color sketch, and she just had a lot of really strong moments in this episode, so I'm with you. Steph, we are going to be off next week. November 16th is the next episode. Duel. We got Harry Styles and Harry Styles.
I'm curious. I'd like to see it.
I think a lot of people are
worried.
We shall see. So we will be back that following Tuesday to break down that episode. In the meantime, Steph, where can we find you?
Happy 5th of November, all my V for Vendetta fans, my anarchists out there like myself. I'll be out in the streets. You can find me there. Also, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Steph Sabraw.
I'll obviously just be following behind Steph like a lost little puppy in the streets.
We ride at dawn!
Let's go, guys. Or you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Amy Maestri. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.